The variable injection timing system comprises VIT actuators located on the fuel pumps and pneumatic components located on the control console at the side of the engine. Supply 7-bar control air pressure to the pneumatic components on the engine side console. Switch control from the engine room to the engine side console. Turn the regulating hand wheel until the tapered slots of the two levers are aligned. The throttle non-return valve must be fully open before adjusting the VIT system. Loosen the lock nut and screw the spindle counterclockwise as far as it will go. Make sure that the pressurized air reaches the VIT actuator. It may be necessary to switch the changeover valve manually. The pilot valve must be adjusted so that when the spindle is pressed 8 mm inwards, the control air pressure will be 5.5 bar. Insert a distance piece with a thickness of precisely 8 mm. If the control air pressure deviates from 5.5 bar, loosen the lock screw and turn the spring retainer cap of the pilot valve until the pressure, which can be read on the pressure gauge on the engine side control console, reads 5.5 bar. Note that it will not be possible to obtain the correct pressure if the throttle non-return valve is not fully open. Screw the spindle clockwise until a pressure drop can just be registered. Screw the spindle counterclockwise 1 revolution and lock it in this position with a lock nut. This position prevents a sudden increase in VIT index and thereby a sudden increase in the maximum combustion pressure. Make sure that the VIT index is set at 0. Measure distance R between the two pivoting points. Note down the result. Measure distance L between the pivoting point and the center line of the VIT rack. Note down the result. Measure distance X between the pivoting point and the center line of the VIT rack. Note down the result. To ensure that the movement of the link is evenly distributed around the center line of the VIT rack, R must equal L plus X. In the event that R does not equal L plus X, displace the lever until new measurements confirm that R equals L plus X. When the correct position is obtained, mark the position of the lever and stamp the cylinder number on the locking plate and lever. Turn the regulating hand wheel until the pressure on the pressure gauge reads 2.75 bar. The VIT rack must be adjusted so that the middle index of the VIT rack can be read when a control air pressure of 2.75 bar is applied. If the actual VIT index does not correspond to the middle index, adjust the link until it does. Start the engine and run it up to a load corresponding to the breakpoint load. Use the indicator drive or PMI system to adjust the load until it corresponds to the breakpoint load. The mean indicated pressures of the individual cylinders must not deviate more than 0.5 bar. If the deviation is more than 0.5 bar, adjust the load distribution on the fuel index rack of the individual cylinders. The engine is now running at the breakpoint. At this load, the steel rod must touch both pivoting points. If the rod does not touch both pivoting points, adjust the rod in accordance with step 2.3 of this film. Measure the maximum combustion pressures of each cylinder. Adjust the links or disconnect and lock the VIT racks so that the maximum combustion pressures, corrected to ISO ambient conditions, are uniform and have the required values.